This episode is brought to you by Naked Fig Soap. Shop over a dozen handcrafted artisan soaps locally sourced and made in Arizona using the finest non-toxic intentional ingredients. Naked Fig Soap also offers facial care products along with accessories like soap dishes, soap saver bags, and more.
Visit their website at nakedfigsoap.com and use code DRUMMINGUP, all one word, for 20% off online orders. And that is the best place to find her now.
Yes.
She doesn't really have a storefront so much as she has
As of right now.
Yeah, as of right now,
Yes.
she has her products in certain locations,
Yes.
which again is the best place to find her is at her nakedfigsoap.com website.
Yes.
Or her socials. Instagram is a great spot to find her. Ask her any questions where she's going to be at like a farmer's market.
Yes.
You can find all that out. Or
But coming up, she's
Yeah.
moving to bigger and better opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. And we're very happy to hear that because,
Yes.
we just want to
She's
make
one
sure
of our
she's doing
favorite,
okay.
favorite companies.
Oh, yeah. Whenever we're getting low, we always place our order.
Yes.
And again, use that code drumming up,
Yes.
all one word, to get that 20% off discount.
For sure.
nakedfigsoap.com. It'll be in the show notes. We'll have her website. And then the best thing to do is from the website, go find her socials, follow her. That helps her. And by you doing that, it helps us because we know you're listening and we know you're buying her great products. She also offers tattoo care and everything too.
Yes,
so
she does.
just a ton of stuff that she does. It's all locally made and everything. So what was that website again?
That is nakedfigsoap.com.
Using code drumming
Drumming
up,
Up.
all one word, for 20% off at checkout.
Hi there, this is Julian of Gorad, and you are listening to Drumming Up Conversation. Hell yeah.
Drumming up conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Yeah.
All right. So today on the podcast, we have the Wildcard Justin Warner. How you doing today?
Living the dream. How about you guys?
Same.
Pretty good,
Yeah,
pretty
this
good.
is awesome. So
We're out in Arizona. It's still extremely hot out here, even though we're in monsoon season.
Yeah.
Are you on the road right now? Or are you at home?
No, I'm in the office of my restaurant, and I am in Rapid City, South Dakota, and it is very pleasant here today. Not
Nice.
too hot, not too cool.
nice. Lucky you. I think it's about 110 probably today. The high,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you come out to Arizona much?
I've been through there. I lived in an RV for a year, and it was really beautiful country. But I don't know, South Dakota called us back, and we've made a little life for ourselves here, and we certainly enjoy it. Although we will be heading to Palm Springs tomorrow,
Oh, no.
and the low there is 90.
Yeah, that's about the same here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the low. Exactly. Yeah. Cool.
So your Instagram name, is it Eat Fellow Humans or Eat Fellow Humans like cannibals?
It is an encouragement and also a reminder of the importance of punctuation.
Yes, for
Okay.
sure.
Fair enough. And with no formal culinary training, how did you end up on Food Network Star, and what was it like being mentored by Alton Brown?
Well, I think we have this mental picture of what culinary training looks like. A bunch of people dressed in white, wandering around massive kitchens while someone with a big hat on barks orders. And while a lot of people have gone through that, and that is actually what culinary training looks like for them, I was a waiter for the longest time. And so I learned that if I knew more about food, I would get better tips and be able to provide better service, etc. And so I started working at a Michelin-rated restaurant in New York called The Modern, and there you had to know the ins, the outs, the everythings of food. You just didn't prepare it. So I ended up finding a casting call for a show called 24-Hour Restaurant Battle, and I applied for that. And you had to make a restaurant in 24 hours, and they were like, well, you don't cook, you're a server. And I was like, well, when are you shooting and how hard could it be? Because, I was in my 20s and super arrogant. And so then I ended up, rather than being the heel on that show, I ended up winning it. And the same producers or casting directors, rather, for that show went on to cast Food Network Star. And when they called me, I was, you don't say no to that. So I had to take a bunch of aptitude tests. And I think that was mostly just to see in advance how well we would do on the show. And being mentored by Alton was an incredible experience. I had always looked up to him as a fellow food enthusiast and someone who's curious about not just food, but the entire world around him. And when we got on that show, he basically said, "Look, kid, I'm getting out of your way. Just do you, because what you're doing is just fine." And so I think that was actually the sort of creative push that I needed, was that I am not an anomaly, that I am not something that's too weird or outside the box, because if Alton Brown is digging it, then gosh darn it, it must be okay.
Doing something right, because we loved his show.
Yeah,
we learned
sure.
a lot from his show. So
Definitely.
Have you ever been to Old Saybrook, Connecticut?
No.
Justin's grandfather started a restaurant. He's wearing the shirt today, Luigi's Meatballs in Old Saybrook, Connecticut. Justin's great-grandfather coined the phrase grinder. He created
nice.
the grinder sandwich. And
Yeah,
the
that's awesome.
restaurant's still in business today there.
Wow, incredible. You should be proud.
for sure,
it's
we're
awesome.
having, I think, my cousin on in about a month or so to talk about
The
everything
whole
going on with
history
it.
and everything
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
Cool.
So that's kind of our little culinary background, I guess.
yeah, for sure.
I love that. It's in your DNA.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So what got you into and interested in the science of food? Because when we see you come on the screen, we're like, oh shit, what's he going to come up with now?
Thanks. So there are kind of two facets. The first and easy one is that if you keep asking why, you're either going to end up with science or religion, and there's no real food religion. So if you keep asking why, you're going to get down to the brass tacks, which are often science. And so that's that. When you're learning and when you're teaching yourself, I think it is good to ask why. When I see a recipe and I don't understand why something is there or the why about it, it drives me batty. So I'm always asking the question, why is thing one. I've always been that way. But the other thing is that, as someone who works in food television, one of the goals is to entertain. And I think that people find that sort of, those unexplored horizons or frontiers in food to be interesting and entertaining. And the thing is that none of this stuff is actually unexplored. Like, I had to learn from other people who had already used methyl cellulose, and I had to learn from other people that had already messed with liquid nitrogen. So really, I'm just regurgitating work that other people have already done. But that is what is great about food, is that when you can find those deep cuts, when you can find those interesting ingredients or compounds, or when you've asked why so much that things that other people don't, and it's just like a handful of people that are on that same wavelength, oh man, maybe we have entertainment. And I think that's something that has worked throughout my career.
That's awesome.
And who were some of your influences?
Definitely Alton Brown. There's a chef that still works at a sushi restaurant in Fort Collins, Colorado. His name's Masa Suzuki. Pretty much anybody that's ever made me food, honestly, is an influence. Because I always say, like, my favorite food is food I don't have to cook. Because there's so much more pleasure, in my opinion, in the consumption and in the analyzation of food, as opposed to in the preparation of it. Sometimes I think the preparation is can be a little bit of a yawn to me, but that's why I'm doing a podcast right now and not working on the line. I don't love the mass production of food. It drives me batty. It makes me bored. So I like recipe development, and I like culinary troubleshooting. So I'm trying to think of any other real big names. But yeah, essentially, if I've worked with them as a colleague, yeah, they're great. I mean, my grandma was a pretty awesome cook, taught me a bunch of stuff about, like, I'd catch like a dinky little perch in the local lake, and she'd cook it for me for breakfast and stuff.
That's awesome.
Nice. Very cool.
That's really cool. We spoke about this together after we watched one of the shows. It was either Triple G or Guy's Ranch Kitchen, and amazing how he's this cook, but he never cooks. He has you cooking for him. He has all these other people cooking for him. So he just gets to go from show to show to show and just eat. And we kind of think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty good life. He definitely has the chops, though. I've watched him every now and then. If Triple G, and most people don't know this, every now and then if Triple G is, we're on the like final run of shooting 30 episodes or something, Guy will get slightly bored and he'll jump in the last kitchen, the kitchen that is currently off camera, and he will do the challenge himself in about half the amount of time.
Yeah.
And I've had burgers and beyond in that 20-minute window that are just lights out.
Yeah, every once in a while they will air a couple of those. Like, wow, that's crazy. Like half the time he's bringing it up 10 minutes before the other people are even done with theirs. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, we call that the fog of Flavortown.
So of all the shows that you've been on, whether it's a competitor on Triple G or Guy's Ranch Kitchen, or a judge on Triple G, or a sidekick on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, or a reporter for Tournament of Champions, what has been the role that you've enjoyed the most?
Definitely the ringside reporter for Tournament of Champions. I like being able to observe and articulate on behalf of the viewer, and that's essentially my job. And I like being able to see the connections that chefs are making and the thought processes that they are having, and they don't have to say that. And they love that they can bring 5 ingredients out, and then I can say, yes, those 5 ingredients are commonly found in X, and then all they have to do is nod, and that is the direction that they're going. And so it's a great way to see and explore how people problem solve, and I learn a lot from that. And
so yeah, you probably learn a lot just by observing all of those chefs. I mean, there's
other than Guy and close Simon and Brooke Williamson, I've seen every one of those battles ringside. Mm-hmm. And there have been a lot of moments where I'm not like saying to myself or to anyone else, but where like the solution might be obvious, but you can't say anything about it. And it's wild to see chefs get so in their head that they can no longer see something that is almost obvious.
Mm-hmm. And as viewers, we can tell that you really enjoy that role.
Thank you.
Having a conversation about that the other day.
Yeah.
How we thought that would be your answer.
Yeah, it's. I don't know.
I love to learn a lot, and I think you learn the most from that. So
definitely, and I don't know. I was a reporter in high school, like for the high school journalism team, and then I briefly worked for a newspaper, and being able to distill information and give someone just the facts, and deciding what is pertinent and not pertinent to present to the judges is fun. And when I'm selling the food to the judges, it's also like being a waiter again, which I love very much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So along with you, Carl Ruiz, the Cuban, was a big influence on us. Is there a memorable moment you have with him?
I mean, every moment with Carl is memorable, but we were at a gig in Alabama. My Food Network star colleague, Marty Duncan, and very good friend, Marty Duncan, invited us to this food festival in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And Carl and I went into the surf style boutique there, if you will, and we bought matching outfits. And there's a picture of us both decked out head to toe in surf style, and we're both like quasi-reflective and certainly drunk. And that was a great memory.
That's awesome. What culinary role do you like to break, as far as maybe something shouldn't be paired together, but it works?
Well, here's the thing. If it works, then it's not, you're not breaking anything, right? If it works and you like it, that's fine. My perception of food has evolved a lot over the years, and ultimately what I think is the best food is the food that makes you happiest, and I don't really care what that is. If it's foie gras, if it's truffles, if it's easy mac, whatever is right. So to me, I think the one thing that people don't think about a lot is how important context is. And context is the one rule that I find it very, very hard to break. So for example, my wife and I just opened a wine bar, and we don't serve ramen there, even though we're attached to the ramen shop. It's hard and fast rule. And that's because ramen doesn't fit in that context. Like you don't have an analytical smell of wine and then dive into something super gluttonous and borderline hedonistic like a bowl of ramen. So, we have charcuterie and cheeses and the things that you have in the context of wine. And so that's something that I've been always attuned to, but now it's something that I really, really focus on. And it's something that, I don't know, it makes me happy. It's the ultimate seasoning, is the environment and the time frame in which you are there to enjoy something. If I'm like thinking about weird things, there are a lot of weird pairings out there, but ultimately they're not weird at all. And that's because once you understand that food and the act of eating is based on a lot of things, of course, visual perception of it. But to me, the most fascinating is aroma, the way things smell. And so you might think that white chocolate with fish eggs is super weird, but on a molecular level, they share similar volatile compounds, which are the things that our nose perceives. And our nose lets us see invisible things. For example, a glass of kerosene and a glass of water look mighty fine and look nearly identical until, of course, you smell it. And so to me, that's something that I would, if I could not do life over, but, maybe when I'm in my 60s, I'll take an advanced olfactory course or something like that. I'm just obsessed with smells.
Well, it's the first thing that hits the senses, really, when you're eating or drinking is the sense of smell. So.
Yeah, people, it's cliche, but people always say, you eat with your eyes first. And I'm like, no, that's a lie. You eat with your nose first, hands down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So your cookbook, Marvel Eat the Universe, how'd that come about?
Well, we did a show called Eat the Universe, and we had created enough content and there was enough buzz around it that Marvel pitched it to this publishing company that specializes in co-licensed or co-branded cookbooks specifically. And it worked, and they loved it. And the great news about it was we had already made 90% of the recipes, and there's also video instruction to go along with the book, which is pretty fantastic. And I think for a lot of people who are into Marvel, but maybe not so much into food, they can learn a lot about food and the preparation thereof. And then if you are not a fan of Marvel, but you are a fan of food, you can learn a little bit about Marvel as well. And I think, there aren't really many two things as universal these days as food and Marvel. But, pretty much everyone can pick up what you're throwing down there.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a favorite character?
Yeah, it's essentially through time. Growing up, I was definitely a Spider-Man fan. In my early 20s, I was more of an Incredible Hulk fan. Now, as I age, I am a Captain America fan.
Okay, fair enough. Awesome. Yeah, we're big Marvel fans. All that stuff. You can't go wrong with it. So.
Yeah,
I agree.
We flipped through the cookbook and saw the recipe for
The
rocket made
the trash omelet.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there any dish that you recommend making to impress guests that seems difficult, but it's really easy to make?
Yeah, definitely. It's beef Wellington. All you need is a thermometer and follow a recipe. Beef Wellington looks incredible, and you can gussy it up so fast. And it's pretty common ingredients, or there are pretty common swaps for those ingredients. And you also don't have to make a massive log of Wellington. You can cut a puff pastry sheet to fit and make mini Wellingtons for 2 people if you want. And there's just something special about that presentation and the juxtaposition of buttery, flaky pastry crust and super tender tenderloin and mushroom. Maybe you can make a roux and make some sort of sauce or gravy or jus to go with it. But either way, I make that almost every holiday, and it always seems to delight.
Do you have your own recipe, or you just follow a certain one?
I've got a super cheaters recipe floating around out there where you use
Send
cream of mushroom soup.
All right. Yeah, you'll have to send that to us.
Just a question that we always argue about. Do you like beef
I was
stroganoff?
just gonna ask that.
I like the idea of it and I like the flavor of it, but it's not something that I, it's ugly is the bottom line. And that was actually one of the dishes that I had to revamp on Food Network Star. And do I love the flavor of it? Do I think it could always be executed better? Do I think a lot of people simply gray meat, gray being used as a verb there? Yes. Do I think in principle it's delicious? Absolutely. If someone made it for me, would I turn up my nose? Absolutely not. I just think it's a dish that has some problems and is probably made popular because of its convenience and its funny name, as opposed to its beauty for sure.
And
Yeah.
see, that was something that I grew up with in my childhood. My mom made beef stroganoff. My dad hated it. My brother hated it. Just me, my mom, and my sister liked it.
Yeah, I
And-
don't either.
And I made it for Justin, and he hated it. Our daughter hates it. And it was a big argument on my birthday this year when I wanted just beef stroganoff and I got shot down.
Really sorry about that, friend.
How about mayonnaise? What's your
Oh, I have a tattoo of
mayonnaise?
mayonnaise. I love mayonnaise so much.
Aha. Justin will not touch mayonnaise.
My mom wouldn't let me have it as a kid. I'm just like, why? So I'm just,
So every time I have, he won't even touch it at the grocery store.
Oh,
if
geez.
if I need mayonnaise, I have to have our daughter buy it because he won't even touch it.
Wow. That's some serious fear.
What do you recommend for him to get over it? Should I just put it on something for him? And not
Make your own and see just how simple and wholesome it is.
That's what we talked about this past
I'll have
weekend
to do it.
about
I'll have
making
to
our
try
own.
it. I'll have to try beef stroganoff.
Yeah, and you can also customize it. Once you've made it, you can add whatever flavors you want to it. And if you have a favorite flavor,
His would be garlic for sure.
yeah, so that's aioli. Garlic mayo is aioli. So
Okay.
bingo bango.
Fair enough. All right. So last question we have is, since it's called Drumming Up Conversation, who is your favorite drummer?
That's tough. But I thought about this, and it's got to be Questlove.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
What
Yeah,
kind of music do you like to
he
listen
is a fellow food enthusiast. I've actually partied at his house in New York, believe it or not. Thanks for that, Quest. And I think just his ability to have fun musically and be a musical genius without beating anyone over the head with his genius is also genius.
Right. What kind of music do you generally like to listen to?
Oh, whatever's playing. My wife's the music person. I recently got addicted to this band called Wet Leg. It's two gals out of Wales, I think, and it's super upbeat and catchy, poppy, but it has some time changes in it, and it's not as candy coated in the guts as it is on the surface.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Anything coming up that you want to promote?
Oh, well, no, I'm kind of in a holding pattern. Both of my restaurants here are doing well. My wife and I are expecting, so I've kind of put things on hold just so that we can, live a normal life while we create life. And that's it. I'm going to be back shooting Tournament of Champions in November. It'll probably air in spring. Got a couple episodes of Grocery Games, including one where something literally explodes in my face.
Oh boy.
Headed to you probably by December, I want to say. I know we shot a Thanksgiving episode around that time, so they'll probably air then. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I've been so focused on my restaurants here. all of my projects have been very terrestrial, if that makes sense.
What are the names of your restaurants?
We have Bokujo Ramen, which is a ramen shop in Rapid City, South Dakota. We use all local protein, bones, eggs, and mushrooms. Of course, our growing season here is a little limited, but I'm working with a local hydroponics producer to fix that. And then we have BB's Natural, which is a natural wine bar, and it is named after a nickname for my wife, Brooke.
Okay. Awesome. When's the baby due?
January 1st.
Do you know if you're having a boy or girl?
It's a boy.
Oh, awesome. Congratulations. That's
Thank you. We're
awesome.
super pumped.
Another Wildcard Junior.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I'm hoping it's more conservative, and we'll choose an easier life, like being an accountant or something like that.
Where did the nickname come from? Wildcard.
BB? Oh, Wildcard. I don't know. I think I wanted something alliterative that fit, and Wildcard Warner. It's also fun to shout across the room, Wildcard, what are you doing? And that's it. And I think specifically there was one moment where I was in a head-to-head battle against a former mentor of mine, Rocco DeSpirito, and now I seemingly colleague, but he's still a mentor, Rocco, if you're listening. And we both had to make a duck pot pie. And I went super old school with it, and he went super new school with it. And Guy did not expect that from either of us. And I think that was the moment where he's like, man, with Warner, you never know what you're going to get. It's a W factor.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Just offhand, if you had not become a chef, what would you have done in life?
Oh, I don't know. I always say that I do this because I have no other marketable skills. But people are always looking for a talking head, and so I certainly have enjoyed journalism. I could consider that. I really love advertising. But honestly, if I didn't become a chef, I would probably just be waiting tables, because I love that too. And that's actually how I started my morning off. We were short staffed, so just got to wait tables all day. It was great.
Awesome. It's very cool.
Very cool.
We really appreciate the time that you've
Thank you.
taken out of your day to be with us.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure.
Absolutely.
And I'll make you beef stroganoff next time.
Good man. And you make him some mayonnaise. How about that?
There we go.
Exactly. Yeah,
Fair trade.
for sure.
A little therapy session while we're at it.
For sure. All right. Well, thank you again. We really do appreciate this. This is huge for us. So
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Take care, guys.
You
Thank you
too.
too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. All right. He's busy. So.
Yeah.
How long did we go? I don't think we went. very
Drumming up conversation. Drumming